Welcome back into Locked On Sports Atlanta. This is A to Z. I'm Mark Zinno. Appreciate you joining us here on this Wednesday afternoon. This segment of the show brought to you by our good friends at Built Bar. You know, it's that time of the year that pretty much all of us have given up on our New Year's resolutions, but not this year. I can stick to my New Year's resolution this year. I can stay healthy and still enjoy delicious foods. How am I doing that? Well, Built Bar and Puffs. Have you ever tried Puffs? If not, you're missing out on Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein infused marshmallow. They're fluffy, they're marshmallowy. They're not just a protein bar, they're a treat, and they're covered in 100% real chocolate. Puffs are a fan favorite with some incredible flavors, including yummy cinnamon churro, coconut marshmallow, banana cream pie. So good. These are going to be your new favorite. All Built Bars covered in 100% chocolate. Yes, Puffs included. They're low calorie, high protein, and you can replace these with any candy bar, any sort of sweet snack that you want. They will absolutely do the trick. And if you count your macros, this is super important. Go to builtbar.com and check out their macros chart. You're going to be blown away. Low calorie, high protein. You talk about 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, 17 grams of protein. That's better than any candy bar out there. They come in so many great flavors: mint brownie, coconut almond, and new for this month, white chocolate cookies and cream. Oh, so delicious. You guys are going to love these things. Go to builtbar.com right now because they're all about taste, and then they figure out how to make it melt. Then they figure out how to make it healthy. Oh, God, it's so delicious. I can't even get the words out. Go to builtbar.com, use the promo code LOCK15 and get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCK15 at builtbar.com. Welcome back into A to Z here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Again, give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On ATL, at Mark Zinno, MarkZinno. Check out all the great shows we have here on Locked On Atlanta. Hitting Hard with John Chuckery, ATL Day Ones with Tanisha Batiste and Jarvis Davis. Of course, we have so many great contributors, including Grant McCauley, who does our Braves postcast every day, every night after Braves games. You'll hear Grant McCauley right here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Of course, Grant going to stop by and visit us. Make sure you checked out Locked On Hawks as well. Locked On Falcon. Aaron Freeman's going to join us later on in the week as well. Speaking of the Atlanta Falcons, they are getting set for the NFL draft. Now, Mel Kiper's latest mock draft is out. And I listen, I know what mock drafts are, and I know why we all look at them, and I certainly understand it. And I do the same thing every other fan does. What is my team picking? Who do they like? But I will say this much. How teams draft tells you a lot about what direction they're going in and what they think is ultimately important. And I want to read to you the first 8 picks because I think that there is a miscalculation about this front office by Mel Kiper. Aiden Hutchinson goes to the Jacksonville Jaguars at 1. Ahmad Sauce Gardner goes to the Detroit Lions at 2. Travon Walker from Georgia goes to the Texans at 3. Kayvon Thibodeau from Oregon to the Jets at 4. Ikem Ekwonu from NC State, the tackle, goes to the Giants at 5. Malik Willis to the Carolina Panthers at 6. Now, that's important. We'll get to that in a minute. The Giants' second pick in the first round, Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. They take him at number 7. And then the Falcons at 8 select Garrett Wilson. And Mel Kiper, who's as good as it comes to this whole thing, says, quote, "I'm going to stick with this prediction because who is Marcus Mariota going to throw to next season? The Falcons just don't have any starting caliber wide receivers, blah, blah, blah." It goes on about Wilson. I'll say this much. If the Falcons draft a wide receiver, it is a sign to me that this new regime has learned nothing from their predecessors. This is a new regime. That is an old Falcons move. And I think highly of Thomas Dimitroff. I have a good relationship with him. And I think that he was underrated as a GM, and I've said that for years. That's not to say that he didn't miss and didn't make mistakes. Thomas knows that. We've had that conversation. It's not to say he's been perfect. He knows that as well. GM's jobs are very tough and not easy. There are very few good ones who do it well consistently. That said, this would be a Thomas move. And I could sit there and tell you all the reasons Thomas Dimitroff would love Garrett Wilson. There's a lot of reasons a lot of GMs would love Garrett Wilson. But Thomas's mentality and his direction of how he wanted to build a team is different than that of Terry Fontenot. If Terry Fontenot goes out and drafts Kyle Pitts one year and then Garrett Wilson or another wide receiver, Chris Olave, and by the way, there were only 2 other wide receivers in Mel Kiper's mock draft taken in the first round, it says to me that they are doing things the exact same way. It also says to me that their owner is probably too much involved in decision-making. Terry Fontenot was brought here to change the entire culture because it had gotten stale under Dan Quinn. They had gotten in a rut with Thomas Dimitroff. They weren't able to get themselves out of it and turn things around. Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith are here to turn things around, and you have to do things differently. If you're going to do it the same, then why did you change the personnel you had before? And that's what happens in every business whenever they make a change at a high level position, right? Whether it's a head coach or a GM in the NFL, whether it's a CEO of an organization, an executive director of a nonprofit, whatever the last one did, the reason that they were fired and got let go, they bring in somebody else who does things differently. Why? Because they don't want more of the same. Why would they take a wide receiver? That's more of the same. Last year, you could make an argument that Kyle Pitts is a once in a lifetime tight end talent. I don't have to agree with that objectively. There's different ways to argue that, but that argument is there, and I understand it because you don't pass up once in a lifetime talent. He was the highest tight end ever taken in the NFL draft for a reason because he was that level of talent, right? Okay. You know my stance on taking a quarterback. I don't have to reiterate it. If you've listened to this show at all the past week plus since we started, but I'll say it again real quick. If you're doing a rebuild, you have to start at quarterback. You can't rebuild without one. You just can't. And your rebuild isn't a bridge quarterback. It's Marcus Mariota's a bridge quarterback. He's here for 2 years, nothing more. If Marcus Mariota is the long-term plan, shame on Terry Fontenot, shame on Arthur Smith. That's just being objective about it. You have to have the quarterback first. Does that mean you have to draft one this year? Maybe, kind of. But you have to be willing to be wrong. You can't be afraid to miss on the quarterback and then go get one, a better one next year. You have to be willing to take chances like that. And if you're not, then don't draft him. But you better be 100% sure that all three of the guys that you're passing up that are giving somewhat first-round grades, Malik Willis, Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, whoever they are, some of those guys who are receiving first-round grades, they all better bust. They all better turn flat. Because if you let them pass you, it's a bad mark on your record. But whatever the Falcons do at number 8 tells you, and even if they trade back, it tells you what their priorities. Because if they trade back, they tell you assets are more important than anything right now. We'll get players later on in the first round, but assets are more important, which I agree with. They are at this point in time. You're in a rebuild. You're beginning the rebuild. You're in year 0 of the rebuild. Year 1 is next year. And I'm okay with that. But if you draft a wide receiver, you're telling me I want to be finesse. I want to score points. I don't want to be physical. Because you're getting positions, and you're getting positions now that automatically become the second most expensive position behind quarterbacks. Wide receivers are getting paid left and right in this league. Drafting one makes a ton of sense when you don't have a lot of cap space and you need an impact player quickly, because wide receivers can do that. The Falcons need an impact player quickly, but they need like a dozen impact players quickly. What kind of team do you want to be, Terry Fontenot? You want to be a strong defensive team up front? You want to be good in the trenches? How do you pass up Evan Neal if he's there? Oh, don't give me Caleb McGarry. Evan McNeil's better. Move him inside the guard. I don't care. Get rid of him. Trade him. Dump him. You got Jake Matthews and Evan Neal. You have bookend tackles. And when Jake Matthews finally gets shipped off, guess where Evan Neal goes? Over to the other side. There is no better developmental thing in this league for a tackle to play right tackle than move over to left tackle. I mean, this is obvious stuff here. But what kind of team do you want to be? If the Falcons draft a receiver at 8, they deserve to be bad for a long time. It's just that simple. There are plenty of receivers in this draft. You can find them anywhere. You don't need to take one with your first overall pick, especially not in the top 10. Are any of these receivers going to be game-changing, life-changing receivers like Randy Moss or Jerry Rice or Terrell Owens or whoever else? DeAndre Hopkins, pick who you want. Maybe there's an outside chance that they are, but I'll roll the dice that they're not and let somebody else go get that guy because there are other things that are more important in a rebuild. I can justify not taking a high-end wide receiver in a rebuild with no quarterback because he'll never be high-end if there's no quarterback there. It's that simple. It's that simple. So what are the Falcons going to do? Who are they going to be? That's going to be the ultimate question when they draft 2 weeks from Thursday. Coming up next, the Atlanta Braves did something that, was expected, and a full handicap of the Hawks Hornets from a betting standpoint. That's next right here on A to Z on Locked On Sports Atlanta, free on YouTube. Search Locked On Sports Atlanta wherever you get your podcasts.